right, let's see. Is this all right? Looks like it's working. Alrighty. So I scheduled this live stream over on the Tease Spot channel, but nobody joined after about 5 minutes. So I wonder if I might as well just, since I don't want to keep the live streams on this channel, since they're not exactly on brand, I think what I'll do is after the stream, I'm going to, from now on, take the stream down from this channel after it's over and upload it to T-Spot, and then people can watch it there. But anyways, hello to the viewer in the chat, and very shortly, once we get a few people in here, I'm going to start the Q&A session. Essentially what's going on here is I'm going to be answering questions that viewers had for me. If you also have questions for me, feel free to ask them in the chat. I heard it was time to ask baffling questions. Correct. I meant actually for these this live stream to be over on the side channel, but it's okay. It doesn't need to be on the side channel. I'll have it here and I'll upload it afterwards to the side channel so everyone gets it. But hello everybody. I hope you're all doing well. And I thought I'd set up a little Christmassy scene on the live stream. I've got a fireplace that I never use, so I thought I'll turn on this gas fireplace and throw my little Charlie Brown Christmas tree almost thing in front of it. And we'll get started in just a minute here. But howdy doody, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. It looks like holiday travel is going to be affected by snow. I saw on the weather earlier, I was running on the treadmill. Sup, pimp? Hi, Blake Star. I'm the first time I've ever been called a pimp. That's pretty fun. Uh-oh. Why is my bitrate low? Let's see. What does it recommend? We recommend that you use a stream bitrate of 6800. Okay. Well, it says stream health is good, and it's not like this is a very complex scene in front of me, so I'm just going to stick with it. Gonna give it another minute here. But hello everybody. How's everybody doing? Is anyone traveling for the holidays? Let's see. I was going to get tacos. Now I think I have to order in. Don't want to miss anything. Oh man. Don't stay on my behalf. I'm not that interesting, am I? I hope you enjoy your tacos though. Or you could stream on your phone and just listen to the audio. This is a very audio forward thing. I don't have time to watch, but your channel has been one of the best finds of 2024. So excited to see what you do in 2025. Thank you so much, Na. That means the world to me. I'm excited to see what happens in 2025 too. It's been baffling how the channel's kind of gone from, I don't know if you're new here. My channel went from about 200 subscribers. Actually, no, that's not true. Sorry, 600 subscribers in, I think it was July, to just over 20,000 yesterday. We hit 20,000. And I'm blown away. I am beyond grateful and so excited. All right. So it's about, let's see, here you go. Have my question. Are you ever confused by how many different people just call everything weird cryptid, call every weird cryptid a goblin? Or is there a way more common misnamed cryptid in your eyes? That's a good question. See, I haven't actually noticed that everything's referred to as a goblin, but now that I think about it, a lot of UFO cases refer to the little green men sorts as goblins. And I do think that's an oversimplification because they refer to these things as goblins and then they're substantially different from one another. The UFO kind of reports very rarely, I feel like. I mean, there's the run-of-the-mill types. There's the guy you meet at the bar that says, I got abducted by a UFO. He usually saw something that's like a gray, a little green men kind of guy that's lanky and skinny. But the well-known reports are usually very diverse from one another. Some of them have goblin-like creatures. Some of them have... Yeah, I thought I'd be chill here. Some of those reports have robots. Some of them have things that look like humans. I'm trying to think, is there a way more commonly misnamed cryptid though? Honestly, probably all of the Sasquatch variants. You'll see in a video I put out on Friday for Indiana, there are Sasquatch variants all over the place. And they all are called different things. Some of them are referred to as people just think they're wild men. Some of them they think are yetis. Some of them they think are Sasquatches. There's the skunk ape, which is essentially a Sasquatch. They all kind of have the same things in common, but they get different names, which I think is interesting. So maybe that's the opposite of what you're talking about. All right, so let's see. Do you or anyone in chat know what happened to Lance Hightower of Monster 911? I'm going to write that down on my notes real quick, actually, because I'd never heard of Monster 911. Lance Hightower. Okay, so I'm going to get into, now that we have some viewers, I'm going to get into the questions that I was given. So, as you see on the screen, the first question is, which cryptid story has legitimately freaked me out? So, to me, fake or not, the Massachusetts Pukwudgie story I told in my Massachusetts cryptid video involving Bill Rousseau and his dog is probably the scariest cryptid story that I have ever read. It's very consistent. It's very low-key. It almost seemed like Bill Rousseau in life was a little bit embarrassed about his encounter and didn't really want to talk about it. This story basically follows a man. He gets home from work late, and most nights he does this, and he always takes his dog on a walk through the nearby woods, kind of like me. He goes into the woods this one night, though, and he's walking in an area kind of near a place in Massachusetts called Hockomock Swamp that is extremely notorious for being spiritually active and housing weird cryptids and such. It's got a bad reputation in Native American folklore, and the Westerners also parroted this bad reputation. But anyways, on his way back home, he's approached with his dog by a small, non-human, but kind of humanoid creature that he first thinks is a child. And it's saying something to him. It's saying, "Iwachu, kier, kier." And he thinks it's just a kid that's trying to say, "Hey, I'm lost in the woods." And it's kind of scaring him. And he starts to approach it, but his dog won't let him approach the creature. He ends up realizing, though, as he gets closer, because he's like, "Hey, dog, come here," that the thing is kind of hairy. It sort of has a face like a chipmunk. It's certainly not a human. It even has a pot belly. It kind of looks older, even, like an adult. And he goes home and he brews a pot of coffee. He tells his wife, which I'm sure that went well. He tells his wife about what he saw. He brews a pot of coffee. He stays up all night thinking about it. Iwachu kier. What did that mean? And he puts it together, and by the end of the night, he's decided it wasn't saying Iwachu kier. It was trying to speak English. It was saying, "We want you, come here," which is exactly in line with Pukwudgie folklore, which is that these little creatures try to trick you and lure you into the woods where they can harm you if they feel threatened by you. And perhaps the Pukwudgie felt threatened because he was treading in its land, on its land. Okay, so that is question 1. Let's see. Have you ever seen a cryptid? Lance counseled cryptid encounter victims and went looking for Bigfoots. Then nothing all of a sudden. Hey, sounds notorious. Sounds like he got caught up in the Bigfoot Dogman fight. If you've seen the video called "Bigfoot Farted in My Living Room," which I'll talk about later. Have I ever seen a cryptid? No, I have seen lots of bears. And I saw a bear once in the Smoky Mountains walking on 2 legs that I did think was Bigfoot for a hot minute. But I'm pretty sure it was just a bear walking on 2 legs because it looked really weird. I'm trying to think, have I seen a cryptid? I've got a bear story, I guess. But that's as close as I get to scary things. I'm trying to think. I have a story, actually, that I told on the last big live stream. And I don't remember what it was, but it is kind of like, oh no, that's my dog. My dog passed away when I was a kid, and it's more of a ghost story. Okay, so I'm going to quickly edit this text here. And we'll get to number 2. What's a cryptid? If only I could spell. You haven't covered that you're excited to talk about in the future. Okay. All right. I think that's up there. Yep. Oh, great. You can see me talk and misspell it live. So anyways, what's a cryptid you haven't covered that you're excited to talk about in the future? So this is kind of a sneak preview of something I've read about and I've thought about incorporating into a themed episode at some point about cryptids of the deep ocean. And to be honest, I think this story is pretty terrifying. It's from Eric Russell's Great World Mysteries of 1967. And to summarize the story, this is supposedly a true story. The individual that reported it, apparently, you can find him online. He was very much a credible individual, but he was a diver. And this took place in the 1960s. And while he was diving, he noticed something a bit scary. A large 15-foot shark was following him and kind of circling him curiously. He didn't think it meant him any harm, though, but the diver was still nervous. Regardless, he just kept diving, and he reached a ledge in the sea below. He looked down into a large chasm below him that was incredibly dark while the shark watched him, and suddenly, he felt the water get a little colder, kind of as if water from the deep ocean were being forced upwards. And then something came out of the chasm that was, I kid you not, about an acre in area. So that's, if I'm right, about 200 by 200 feet. That's a low estimate. And this was according to him. This thing kind of pulsated, and he wasn't sure what it was. It kind of looked like a jellyfish. It was a little bit brown, but he knew it was alive. And then it reached out kind of like a tentacle or something, and it grabbed the shark. The shark apparently, while this was happening, kind of got scared, kind of acted pensive, but it didn't resist. Whatever this jellyfish kaiju thing was, it grabbed the shark with no resistance, and it brought it down into the chasm. So I definitely have a fear of deep water. When I jump off of a boat in the middle of the ocean, which has actually only happened once in my life, it was about the most scary thing I could ever imagine. I had goggles on, I looked down below me, I could see nothing but darkness. I didn't like that. I swim in open water often. I still don't like that. It's a rough time for me. Okay, let's see. If cryptids were real, they wouldn't be cryptids, but even the thing I laughed at, my fiance wants me to ask what the most smoochable cryptid is. I have no idea why. Oh, that's a great question. Honestly, maybe the Loveland frogmen. So there's something about frogs that they've got big smoochy lips, I guess. I'm not saying I'm attracted to frogs. I'm just saying they look kind of smoochable. I don't know. Maybe there's some like cute Lady Bigfoot or something out there. Bigfoot always seems pretty chill to me. He seems like a chill guy, and there has to be Lady Big Feet, right? So maybe, I don't know. Gosh, let me think. Oh, there's Huggins Molly, which is there's Huggins Molly down in Alabama. That's a cryptid that, or maybe it's a ghost story. I'm not sure. It's basically this creature that's kind of like a cloaked woman that walks around, and if kids are out after dark, past curfew, she'll give them a really tight hug and scream into their ear. So other than the screaming, she is, if she's a cryptid and not a ghost, technically smoochable. I don't know why. I'm gonna go with the Loveland frogmen. They're kind of like 4-foot tall frogs that walk on 2 legs. I don't know. I smooch my dog, and I do it because I love my dog because she's cute. So, maybe I'd smooch a cryptid in that sense. There's no cryptids that I'm attracted to, though. I would say that. I think that goes without saying. Wow, I'm going down a real nasty rabbit hole here. I'm going to ruin my channel. Okay. Anyways, going back to questions so I can avoid the smoochable cryptids hole that I was digging. Let's see. Out of all of the states I've covered, which would I recommend to go to and visit? And see landmarks. Okay. Gotta reformat that. All right, I should probably lower the font there. But Oh, let's answer this first. What kind of education do you need to become a cryptozoologist? I can't answer that without being mean. I think you got to spend a lot of time in the woods. That's going to be my answer to that. Um, I mean, I guess there are probably some people that you could technically call cryptozoologists. Let's see. I'm actually lowering the font size here. Okay, that looks better. There's some people that are probably technically cryptozoologists that started out as proper biologists, but they're probably not covering the really fringe stuff. I think that Blake Starr has the right answer. It's none. Um, oh yeah, I like that. The frog would turn into a cryptid prince. I wonder what that would look like. All right. Anyways, to answer the question, out of all of the states I've covered, which would I recommend to go and visit to see the landmarks? So, regarding where you should visit, I think this is a pretty person to person topic, but I have a few answers anyways. If you like natural beauty, that's one category. There's 3 places I'd recommend that I think are very unique, at least to me. There's obviously more than this. I mean, to start, there's La Jolla in California. If you want to see aquatic wildlife and go spend time outside, do some paddle boarding, look at sea lions, sit on the beach. I don't know. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. But my actual answers are North Carolina, Louisiana, or New Hampshire. And I say that for very different reasons. North Carolina I love because it's got pretty incredible waterfall. I can't talk. Has pretty incredible waterfalls pretty much every 5 minutes in the Pisgah National Forest. So whether you like hiking or mountain biking, it has incredible opportunities for recreation. There's pretty much mountains all over the place in western North Carolina, and it's just they're very accessible. It's very easy to get to them, I guess, and there's also just beautiful natural features near them. This kind of holds true for the whole Smoky Mountains region, though, or even Appalachians, to be honest. New Hampshire is wild in a way that most states can't match, too. The White Mountains, in particular, I think are beautiful in ways that most places, maybe on Earth, can't match. And they're also really brutal to hike in a way that, how do I put this? They're just brutal to hike almost to the point of being dangerous, which makes it so much more satisfying when you get to the top of a mountain there, especially when you're hiking in the White Mountains in the winter. It is perhaps one of the most dangerous places on Earth if you're hiking in the White Mountains during the winter. The fastest winds ever recorded, for instance, were taken in the White Mountains. Also, the towns in the White Mountains are a really real treat to visit. They don't feel that commercialized, except for maybe Conway, New Hampshire, to me. And also, it's probably one of the more forested places I've ever spent time. And the thick forests of New Hampshire, they really swallow you up and kind of disorient you. It's honestly incredible to feel. I don't know, it just makes you feel, it reminds you that humans are not in charge. Nature is in charge. Louisiana is also pretty awesome in a unique way, too. To start, if you like food, I think Cajun food is probably one of the more unique food types in all of the United States. Also, I love the swamps. I've been on a few boat tours and I've gone for some hikes and done some field work for kind of like research in the Louisiana swamplands, and also honestly in Mississippi too. And it's just gorgeous and unique. If maybe a little bit dangerous. Like, don't stick your arms and legs near the water, kids. There's things with sharp teeth in there. Now, if you want a more urban experience, and you want to see landmarks that are not natural formations, they're human, and you want to see history, I know a lot of people don't like Massachusetts, but it has to be my recommendation. A lot of people call it Taxachusetts. I get it. It's a very expensive place to visit and an even more expensive place to live. But if we're being honest, what other state has everything from homes belonging to founding fathers, to trails that were marched during the Revolutionary War, to kind of crazy folklore all over the eastern part and western part of it, and also the beautiful Appalachian Mountains in the west that you can hike? MA is expensive, of course, but it just also kind of has it all. And if you're into food, there's good beer there. There's great seafood, probably among the best in the USA. I mean, well, maybe if you like cod, maybe I'm biased. And there's also pretty good outdoor activities there. It's kind of a jack of all trades. Let's read the comments here. No, yeah, New Hampshire is lovely. The people there are as welcoming as anyone in the South. This isn't to say anything bad about the South. I'm just saying, the South has that reputation for being super welcoming. I found, being a Southerner that moved to the Northeast, that people in Maine and New Hampshire were just as, if not more, welcoming. All right, let's go on to the next question here. I keep saying Q1. So this next question is, what's been my favorite place to visit? Maybe I'll do just Q so that people watching later know what's going on. All right. So this is, again, one of those ones where it's hard to give one answer for favorite place to visit. I have two answers here, I guess. New Orleans, Louisiana is probably my favorite city to visit, but I don't think I'd want to live or work in it. I love visiting it. I just think it's an extremely unique place in terms of urban settings in the United States. I mean, as I've already mentioned, Cajun food is out of this world and kind of weird in a good way. And the French Quarter is charming as all get out. And probably most important for someone like me, there's a ton of spooky history there. From the history of voodoo, which wasn't actually some bad black magic, to stories about nuns that may have been vampires in a church, which maybe I'll tell one day, to perhaps, my favorite part of the city, which is, at least when I visited, the tours were all free to attend. And all you have to do is tip the tour guide. And this encouraged me to do a ton of sightseeing that I'm usually too cheap to do. So you learn a ton of history while you're there for pretty much no cost, and you're kind of guided around the city by the city. It's really nice. Hello, Anthony. Thanks for coming. So also, my other answer to favorite place to visit is probably the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. It's an incredible place. I'm personally biased towards it. If you don't know, I think I've already said this, I'm a Tennessean, and I basically lived in the Smokies when I was in college. I've also probably camped hundreds of nights in the Smokies. It's a beautiful place. The mountains are incredible. I know they're not the Rockies. They're not that tall. But there's a rich history there, and they're also kind of mysterious. If you spend enough time in the area and you talk to some locals, they'll eventually tell you about some strange things that they see in the woods. Things that look kind of like people that are a little bit too big. Also in the Smokies, you sort of have to coexist with bears, raccoons, and other wild animals, which adds an interesting layer to your day-to-day life. All right, let me know if anyone has questions. I've been rocking out these questions I was asked. Where would I most like to live? First live stream, working on formatting here. Sorry for the sniffles. I've got a little bit of a cold. Okay. So regarding where I want to live. Goodness gracious, this is a hard question. My wife and I actually have this conversation with some frequency. So the short answer is I'm not sure that picking where you want to live is a good thing. I sort of tend to believe that life will take you where you need to be if you work hard enough and you follow your passion. However, if something crazy happened and I somehow became a full-time YouTuber, which, again, I'm not counting on. I just enjoy doing this, and I enjoy the community. But if I did become a full-time YouTuber and I didn't have a real job to worry about, my answer would probably be somewhere in the Rocky or Appalachian Mountains. My short list would be Colorado, West Virginia, or North Carolina. This isn't really the only list. In reality, I'd probably happily live anywhere with mountains and good access to trail systems for hiking and biking. I'd also appreciate being within a couple hours of an international airport. So, heck, I'd probably also consider Utah. I would probably also consider, honestly, New Hampshire. there's a lot of places I'd live in the USA, and that's the hardest part about picking a place, because I think that a lot of the USA is really nice. Okay, let's see. I got a question in the chat. Will you ever do other series on other countries? Yes, I will. So that is something I've considered doing. There's a really good channel that I don't feel in competition with. I feel that they do a really good work. It's named Fire of Learning. You probably know of them if you know of me. They're way bigger. And they have kind of done some series on like cryptids of the United Kingdom or England or something, and cryptids of France, if I remember correctly. I don't think I would go down the cryptid route there, but I would be interested in covering weird folklore in these other countries. It's a little harder to do that because there's a bit of a language barrier, and for lack of a better phrase, I'd be sort of worried that the algorithm would not appreciate these other countries being covered. However, I think I will eventually take that risk and try and sprinkle that in. I mean, as you can see, I've been trying to sprinkle in a few videos here and there, and occasionally, instead of getting 50,000 views or 100,000 views, you get 5,000 views. And you know what? That's okay. If I'm not having fun, what's the point of YouTube, right? And I do think it would be interesting to cover these other countries at some point. So we'll see. Probably not by February, but maybe going into spring, I might cover some other countries' urban legends and weird folklore. So I've gotten this question already. Mandanimal, have I ever seen a cryptid? I have not. I have seen a bear walking on two legs before, and I thought it was Bigfoot, and I got really excited. But then I realized it was walking really weird, and Bigfoot's way cooler than that two-legged bear. It was just walking on two legs to get a better vantage point, probably because I was right there. So sadly, no cryptid, but I would love to be the first person to get murked by Bigfoot on camera. It would be incredible to see Bigfoot, accept my fate, and just get smackaroonied off the side of a mountain or something by him. I mean, that would, what a joy. I'm not saying I want my demise. I'm saying what a joy to see Bigfoot and just know, oh my gosh, all this crazy stuff was real. Not saying I don't believe the possibility. I'm just saying I also have the philosophy of seeing is believing in life. Reminds me of Petals the bear, a beautiful local bear who walked about on 2 feet because he only had one front arm. I should look this up. Poor Petals, sorry. All right, did I finish this? I did finish that question. All right, changing the text again. Where would I want a vacation home? That's a fun one. Vacation home. Now that, if I could have a real home and a vacation home, that opens up so many possibilities. So, sorry to be redundant. If I could have a vacation home anywhere, it would probably be New Hampshire near the White Mountains. I've already said it. The Whites are a tremendous, dangerous, and beautiful mountain range. I've spent a ton of time in them, not quite as much as the Smokies. I love the area, I love the people, and when you're in the Whites, there's a real sense of danger that keeps you on edge. The weather's unpredictable. There's bunches, it's extremely windy. It can snow in the summer. And when you're up there, you're pretty darn isolated. Nothing short of a helicopter is going to be able to get to you, and it's super chunky rock. It's often not the kind of trail you could just scoot down on your butt if something bad happened. Let's see. Probably also Vermont is up there. I love the Green Mountains region in Vermont. I also love the area around Burlington. It's just a really nice area. They have tons of lakes in the state, so you have water sports and tons of mountains for hiking, mountain biking, and trail running. I think I maybe just love rural New England. That being said, it's on one hand, I always think, it's a bit too cold for me to live in New England full time again. But I live in Michigan right now, so maybe I should just shut up and do what I want to do. Let's see. Anthony says, not saying I had a Bigfoot encounter, but I might have heard or encountered a wild animal in Southwest Oregon. That sounds enticing. Well, Well, I hope that I hope you're able to one day have a Bigfoot encounter or something, or safely from a distance, like those people on the train in that recent video that they saw Bigfoot stand up or something out in the distance, and or maybe it was just a man. I don't know. All right, let's see. Okay, we have 2 more questions. Oh man, let me change this one. Out of all the stories I've covered, which one sticks out in my memory? Oh, and she said, and heart. Or they said. I don't know if it was a man or woman that asked this question. All right. So out of all the states I've covered on my channel, which one sticks out the most in my memory and heart? So once again, I have a few answers to this. One of these answers is I'm a giant fan of wives' tales that make kids go home. I really think they're fun. I think I already brought her up. Huggins Molly, and I think it's Abeville, Alabama. This was actually in my second video ever on this channel, and I think I covered it kind of terribly in like 2 paragraphs of reading. But basically, it's about a woman who walks around at night that's really, really tall and obscures her face, and she'll sneak up behind kids that are out past curfew and hug them tightly while screaming in their ears. The community this takes place in also really leans into the urban legend too. So the second answer to this question is that I love ghost stories that tell us more about the past. So don't get me wrong, any ghost story is fun. I love them all, but ghost stories that hint towards how a place was used in the past or what happened in a place, I think are really clever. So the Bell Telephone Building in Grand Rapids is a good example of this, where through a ghost story, we learn of the atrocities or terrors that happened in a place in the past. So if you don't know the story, I told it in my Michigan's Ghost Stories video, and it's essentially that there was an apartment building where the Grand Rapids Bell Building used to be, and in this apartment building there was a murder. And after the Bell Telephone Building was constructed, suddenly it said that rumors began spreading that people were getting ghostly calls in the middle of the night, hinting to the fact that someone died on the property before it was a telecommunications building. So, really clever. And finally, if we're talking about stories on my channel, I guess I can go into what my favorite video I've made was. So if we're talking about my favorite video, it's probably either the Evolution of Santa Claus video that I made last year for Christmas, or the North Pond Hermit video I made over the winter. So to start, the video about the North Pond Hermit is just a really fantastic tale about a really endearing person who just decided to walk off into the woods one day and never returned to society. There's moral gray area in it. There's legends about him, and they turned out to be true. Like, he was a local urban legend. People said, oh, watch out for the hermit in the woods. He's going to break into your cabin, basically. And everyone thought it was hoodoo voodoo, but he was real. And the whole story really offers a sense of adventure, but also it's hard to read it and not have an opinion to give on it. It's the kind of story that really asks you, is it right or is it wrong to live away from the world and just kind of live off the scraps that the rest of the world leaves behind? For instance, we waste so much food. We have so much excess. And the North Pond Hermit just took a little bit of that off the top, just shaved it off. And was he stealing? Yes. And I don't condone that. But he was living a simple life and ultimately harming nobody. And when he was caught, he just gave himself up. He's a really endearing character. So regarding the Evolution of Santa video, though, this video was, at the time, my longest video ever, and I think it was my most viewed video ever as of last Christmas, when it really blew up. And it really made me focus on scripting while I was writing it and doing research, and it kind of pushed me to edit and write a script far beyond my previous ability. I think that video kind of showed me how to improve as a YouTuber. Let's see. Legit. Petals once walked past me while I was taking out my garbage. He was very polite. Was surreal. People thought he was a cryptid because he was a bear on 2 legs who walked about. He sounds kind of cute, honestly. Sounds like a good bear. I think I've seen videos of this little bear walking on 2 legs on YouTube. That's fun. All right, let's see. So final question of the live stream. Oh, he got killed? That's heartbreaking. Ugh. People really misunderstand bears. I mean, can bears kill you? Yes, but they're such intelligent creatures. That breaks my heart. All right. Final question. What are my top 3 paranormal shows or movies? Okay, so I'm going to include YouTube on this. But my favorite YouTube ghost hunting show is probably the old Ghoul Boys from Watcher and BuzzFeed, Ryan Bergara, and Shane Madej. So they're, in my opinion, very fun to watch. They do a good job to not sensationalize nothing burgers of ghost evidence, if that makes sense. And dare I say, sometimes they under-sensationalize weird stuff that happens to them, which is definitely my kind of flavor. I'm not saying I don't believe in ghosts. I'm just saying, like, I want good evidence. And sometimes I actually think they get some pretty scary stuff on that show that they just brush right off. I think they were in Waverly Hills Sanatorium when they legitimately heard a scream in the distance or something, or like some sort of screech. And they just kind of brushed it off like it was nothing. But it sounded like a woman screaming. There was also an episode on Watcher, I think on their first season. Might have also been in Waverly Hills, actually. Shane was walking around in it, and I kid you not, I don't know if there was like a squatter in Waverly Hills, or if they sent someone up to be spooky for the show, or if there was a ghost, but there was absolutely someone in a doorway. They just breezed right past it in the edit. They like did not dwell in it at all, but there was absolutely someone on this darn in Waverly Hills, like pretty much watching Shane as he was walking around on the ghost hunt. Blew my darn mind. It scared the crud out of me. Anyways, moving on from BuzzFeed to Unsolved. So I'm also my favorite movie of this variety. Oh, let's read this first. Don't forget the legendary Robert Stack and Unsolved Mysteries. Your show is current though, and you have covered more spooky stuff than they did. I guess, have I? Man, have I covered more than Unsolved Mysteries? Certainly not with as much depth. I should really do some more original research, which I tried to do. I actually think I kind of pieced together the weirdly the what is it, the Forest Park family, more than anyone has before, at least to my knowledge. That was the one. There was like a family living in a park in Portland, Oregon, and they ended up migrating out east to the Appalachian Trail, living on that for a while, and then the dad and the whole situation ended up kind of going haywire and shooting someone with a flare gun. Who he didn't hurt him. He didn't kill him. But he shot someone with a flare gun in Concord, New Hampshire. Anyways, moving on from this. Number 2, my favorite paranormal movie. It's probably The Fourth Kind. So this was a movie that came out, I think, in the mid 2010s, or maybe it was early 2010s. But it's about alien abductions in Juneau, Alaska. And it's definitely not a true movie, but it's based on true events, and it's framed like it's true. And to my little pea brain, when I was young, I thought it was true. It is a terrifying movie. I think I was 15 years old, and I am pretty ashamed of this, but when I saw it in theaters, that was the last time I ever slept in the same room as my parents. I was like, can I just sleep on the floor in your room? Because now I'm scared that I'm going to wake up at 3 a.m. and see an owl outside. And to this day, when I wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes I will look out my window and be like, there's not an owl out there, right? Because apparently that's, in the movie at least, and apparently in real life, that's like a telltale sign you've been abducted by aliens. People will remember an owl. God, maybe I should make a video on the owl phenomenon. It blows me away. Another channel that I like that's paranormal that you should check out it's really fun. It's mostly BS, but it's really fun. It's called Bizarre Bub. This channel essentially aggregates ghost story videos, or ghost videos. He will, every month or week, I don't think he has a regular cadence. Whenever he gets enough videos together that are compelling and of high quality, he will share them. And they're not always ghosts. They're sometimes just really scary circumstances. but he will show these video compilations that people share to him of ghost videos, essentially. And they're really good ones. They're really high production value, even if they are fake. Occasionally, too, there are videos posted there that make me scratch my head and say, how the heck would someone have accomplished this? This video looks very real, and it kind of gives me the chills. It's the kind of video I can't really watch before bed, which makes me want to watch it before bed even more. Sometimes even it makes me wonder if the person in the video has a squatter living in their home, which is perhaps even scarier than a ghost, because the dead don't seem to hurt people much, but the living, they're another story. This is Paranormal 2. This is the final entry on this list. This is number 4. There's a video that if you haven't seen, you should absolutely watch. It's called Bigfoot Farted in My Living Room. It is about, I don't even know how to put it, this man who seems very nice, and he made a video called Bigfoot Farted in My Living Room, essentially where he tells a really weird, drawn-on story about how Dogman and Bigfoot are in fights, or at like war with one another, and at one point they both got in a fight with some U.S. military, and then regardless, despite this, he and Bigfoot have a really good relationship, and some of his friends also acquaint with Bigfoot, and then at one point he was hanging out with his friend in his living room, and Bigfoot let a big toot right there. It was an incredible video. It blew me away. It's just very funny, very original. It's the essence of what I think of when I think of YouTube. Anyways, that's it. That's the, let's see. I'm going to remove this one. Yes, I'd like to remove that text. That is the stream. So, I'm not saying I'm ending it. We'll stay on for like 5 more minutes. And now we're entering the Ask Me Anything portion. I'm going to move my mic here so it might be loud. It grabbed my keys. But yeah, ask me anything. I'm happy to answer whatever questions you have now. Unless it's bedtime for folks. I understand if it's late. But I'll stick around for another minute or two for questions. Wow, apparently you can enable DVR on YouTube. That's pretty funny. I don't think anyone's DVRing my content, but maybe if someone's boxing or something. All right, going to stay on for another couple minutes if I don't get any questions. But if you do have a question, we're in the Ask Me Anything portion of the stream, so I'm happy to answer anything. Well, almost anything. I've already answered what cryptid I'd smooch, so that's pretty far for me. But anything that is that crazy or less. Okay, I are you single or what is your family? So I am married. I have a great wife. She is. I often do these streams when she's away, so that I don't disrupt her evening with my talking in the background. Also, we often will watch shows or go for walks or go do stuff. So I have a wife, no kids. I have a wife and a dog. The dog is effectively my child, and yeah, that's pretty much my family situation. It's good stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'll have a kid soon, and that's scary in good ways. It's exciting and also makes me wonder, holy guacamole, how much longer do I have? Let's see. I don't have anything to ask. I just wanted to tell you that I enjoy your state-by-state videos. Well, thank you, Audrey. It means the world to me to know that people are enjoying these videos, and it's a very fun time making them. You learn a lot about the rest of the United States. It makes you feel like less of a citizen of a state and more of just, I don't know, an American, if that makes sense. It makes me have a lot greater appreciation for places that I don't spend a lot of time thinking about. All right. Looks like the questions are tapering off. And if you want to watch this video later, I'm going to upload it to T-Spot. That is my other channel, channel number 2. And that will be it. Me and 3 hunting buddies saw 3 Bigfoots. Terrifying, but nothing happened. You know, so I'm no Bigfoot expert, but I hear that Bigfoot is a very friendly creature to humans for the most part. He has the strength to crush a skull, but he doesn't seem to do it very often from what I can tell, so that's nice of him. I'm glad you made it out of there okay, though. All right. I think I'm going to call it for the night. Very nice talking to y'all. Hope you enjoyed the live stream, and I'm going to upload this to T-Spot, so catch you later. Good night, Anthony. Enjoy your studying.